Hello. Can everyone gather up for the last meetup? This year, of course. Come, come, come. Cool, cool. Please. So, I hope everyone's here. As I said, this is the last meetup of this year. So, applause for another great year. Thank you. So, without further ado, the first speaker is Kenny Chang. Yes? Yes? Yeah. And he will talk about live operations and monetization. Applause, please.
Do I really need a mic or can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
For the video, please use a mic. Yeah,
For the
so,
video?
yeah, we are recording it.
Live stream?
Yeah.
So I can't say any like super secret stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this will be on social media and like I'll get sued next week by a company, I don't know.
Oh, well, okay, if you insist, we can,
No.
we can turn off the...
It's cool, it's cool. It's a joke. Anime, nothing embarrassing. Hang on. Hey, where is it?
Where's Deja Vu, man?
This one. How do I... Sorry, it's the first time using this.
To present top right corner, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kenny Chan. I'm from Malaysia. I've been in the game industry for like 10 years now. So I use a little bit of my background. I used to work in as those positions as a QA, live QA, game designer, monetization manager. All of this was in Ubisoft. I was like 5.5 to 6 years with them in Ubisoft Singapore, which we made. We worked on Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Phantoms, free-to-play PC game. And after that, I left Ubisoft, went with a couple of my friends back home in Malaysia, released our own game, make an app. It's called Safari Chess, own indie title over there. And most recently, I left a job in Ubisoft in Gumi Asia, where we actually operate Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. So maybe some of you might have heard about the title. And currently, I'm actually traveling around. So Stockholm, Estonia, Latvia, going back to Stockholm and celebrate Christmas there, I guess. Okay, so 2 topics, and thanks for the organizer for having me. First time here, from Malaysia all the way here, putting me as the first speaker. No sweat. At all. Lucky I have my beer with me. Okay. So just to share with everyone, I may not be the best or super veteran person in the industry, but I want to share what I know. So I want to talk about a bit of live operations. So 2 things that I guess what I'm most interested at, and I would say is my specialty in a way. So live operations and monetization, which is why I chose the topic to share with you all today. And by the way, after this, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You know, I'm very easygoing guy, traveling, no stress, very happy, very positive, no problem. Okay, so live operations. When you run a game that is live, there will always be fire. We call it where shit happens. Shit hits the fan, like service goes down, payment service dies, the wrong patch goes out to live, and then players are downloading a wrong patch, they're unable to play. Am I allowed to swear here? Yeah, sure. Thanks. So like sometimes, like I mentioned, like sometimes we depend Final Fantasy based on App Store, Google Android Play Store, and Amazon and One Store. One Store is a Korean-based kind of app store. So sometimes Apple will fuck you up. Why? Because normally, like if you send a bill out, it's supposed to be approved in a few hours, and then you go live and you go maintenance. They will like for some problem, they will delay themselves for like maybe 48 hours. So your patch cannot go out on time. Do bear in mind when you guys want to do mobile games. So this is the point of sometimes it's a problem that you will face. And escalation. So when you have a team, when you run, my experience running Final Fantasy with this, so there will be problems like, hey, players like, hey, why didn't I get my item? Hey, why is this boss unbeatable? Why is this? There are all kinds of problems. They will write to the customer support system, and then you like bombarded as a producer, like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? So they are, could be small, could be big. So the important thing to identify live operations issues, how small is it, and whether you can solve it the next day or the next patch, or where it's like an immediate thing, we need to get everybody, we need to call server engineer, client engineer, come to the office and solve it within hours or minutes even. So it depends how you're going to categorize that, so that is always very important. This is live service games. Back in Ghost Recon as well, we had our fair share of live issues as well. So it's very important to see how small is it. Sometimes things are very small, you think it's very huge. Reddit, you see players will complain, right, like, oh, what is this? But it's actually a very small thing. So you need to have experience to understand what it is and act accordingly, not with emotion, but more with logic and experience. And for big games as well, sometimes you have a lot of patches, a lot of builds. For you all more technical out there, things like you have Google SDK update or App Store, you need to be compliant with the iPhone 10. So the screen is bigger, the notch and all that. So you need to plan your builds accordingly and your content. Do not put everything together. Because once you engineer everything together at one shot, if things go wrong, you don't know which one to investigate first. But if you have small patches like 1 and 1 and 1, if this goes wrong, you know whether this 2 patch that you need to investigate. So it's easier for you to troubleshoot. So don't shoot yourself on the foot and make a huge patch. Okay, so that's a little bit of live operations. So monetization. So it's happened to be one of my favorite topics in recent years in game industry. So I was from QA, then I jumped into live QA for Ghost Recon Phantoms for Ubisoft. So then what happened is how does game make money? I was always curious. I'm sure a lot of people in the room are curious too. Like, how does game make money? So there are many different kind of models. You can go free to play. Barrier entry is very low. Everyone can just jump in and download and play a game. If they don't like it, they just quit. Then there is the model where you pay a full, like $100 game, and you play. And then there's an online component for keep going, like Rainbow Six Siege, I guess. Or like me and a couple of my friends, we did. 3 of us went, hey, we make our game, launch it on App Store ourselves, zero marketing, run purely on ads. So how we earn money is basically by players that play every round, they watch our ads, and we get a little bit, and so on. So zero monetization systems inside, only purely ads. So that's one way, but it's a very small scale, so 3 of us, it's all right for 3 of us. But on a bigger scale, in a bigger company, there are more different avenues. So it could be a combination of all, like I run ads, and then I have run monetization, maybe light, sometimes maybe heavy monetization. I'm sure you all play mobile games, free-to-play games, free-to-play players, pay to win, that kind of thing. So be sure for you all that first time you want to get into games, make sure you know learn a little bit of business style model, how you're going to earn money, because ultimately you make games to earn money to continue making games. Okay, so monetization wise, KPIs. KPIs are key performance index. So normally it's what basically stuff that you want to look at when you make a game to see how your game is doing. I just put a few examples here of very basic stuff. If you want to know more, I'll be happy to talk to you a little bit later. So like revenue, for example, a game like, hey, this month, how much did we make? So that's revenue, of course you need to know that. DAU stands for daily active users, so how many users you have playing every day. So that actually correlates to how much money you make. Because the more players you have, the higher percentage of chance they will pay or they watch ads, which directly goes to your revenue. So ARPPU here is average revenue per paying user. So as if your game is free to play, this is based on free to play games. So if your players are coming in and buying stuff, so that's a revenue for one player. But if you have a lot of players, you need to, for example, like let's say half the people here actually plays my game, and then half of you don't. So half of you play. So how much the average of revenue per player, per one person above all. So these are the few basic stuff KPIs which you look at. There's a lot of stuff online. You just look at monetization in games, so you can read more about it. Weekly reports. So this is what big games or some big companies do. So every week they need to know, they need to feel the pulse of how the game is doing. Is the game healthy? Is the game bad? Is the game going down? Is the game going normal? Like Red Dead Redemption just came out. A lot of people play that game. They spend less time on your game. Your revenue drops. Things like that. So you need to know what's going on with your game all the time. Few key, I would say, tricks or tips that you can use when you are running a game for monetization. If you're thinking of monetization wise, value proposition. So you can see when you play a lot of games, there are a lot of bundles, you buy this and that. So the value proposition of the bundle must be worth the price. For instance, when you play Clash Royale or certain games, if you pay $100 worth, make sure you give the player at least maybe 120% return on the value of the things they buy. So that's I would say a very good advice. Try not to cheat your players. Try not to force them to pay something and then they regret. Why did I buy this $100 stuff? It's shit. So they'll, charge back or they'll cancel then they won't be happy. They won't be happy. They won't continue playing your game. Perceived generosity is also one tactic where like, hey, Christmas is coming. Free weekend. Like I'm not sure whether you guys know. Like on Steam, there are a lot of free weekends. Or this weekend you can download and play for free just for 3 days. Overwatch free weekend. So they entice you to actually come in and try the game. And sometimes they might give you a lot of discounts, a lot of bonuses. So that is one way to, in a way, perceive generosity. So they are very generous to you, but it looks like it, but actually it's to try to get you to play the game, which is not a bad monetization move actually. Special offers. So touch a little bit on Christmas. So like events, make sure you capitalize on events. For example, games that has totally nothing to do with each other, like the World Cup. Final Fantasy players and World Cup. So what do they have in common? Almost nothing. But when we do, hey, this is the World Cup bundle, people come and buy. So you can mask it in a lot of different kind of themes you want. The Lunar New Year, that is more like ethnicity. I'm Chinese, so Chinese New Year, for example. So there will be, hey, you throw in a red packet, throw in a special bundle, and make sure you look at around the worldwide what kind of events are every month. So follow up and then plan your promotions accordingly. Make sure you have always something to offer players so that players know, and if they want to spend, they know where to spend. Collaborations also is recently learned a lot when I was working for Gumi Asia. So where, for example, here you can see I wrote Witcher 3 Monster Hunter. Anybody knows Witcher 3? Yeah? So Geralt, the cool dude, so he's collaborating, his character will be in Monster Hunter. So and another fighting game which I don't quite remember, but those are the cross collaborations. You take a game like a Witcher 3, so a strong character, put it in a different game, as in like more content. Smash Brothers as well by Nintendo, you have like Donkey Kong versus Zelda, Link, so things like that. So those are very popular in the Japanese style of games. So they kind of borrow like manga, manga stuff. They sometimes don't just make a game by itself, they take the special characters, they have collaboration with another game, and then they put the character in to boost popularity, and then there's revenue share as well among them. I guess that's it for monetization. That's all I want to share for today. hopefully you all get a little bit something. So if you guys want to connect, I'm very happy to talk to anyone here and everyone. So I guess that's it. Thanks. Who's next? Who's next?
Questions? Where is that?
Here.
Where's that? Speak better.
Or should I do a stand up for a little bit?
Yeah. So do you have any questions?
So, yeah, sure. Questions? No problem.
I have one question.
Yep.
Wait. This is for you.
Okay.
So I have a question. If you're a new player in the market and you want to release your free-to-play game, what's your advice on monetization? Go early and fast, or just wait and monetize only in the later cycles?
Depends how big your team is. If,
Small.
yeah, a small team. Like for me and my friends, we are coming in to really learn. Like a lot of stuff you can read online, right? But once you actually do it, then you actually really know. Like someone tells you, it might be, oh, okay, you get it, but you don't really know it until you really do it. So the thing is, me and a couple of my friends is, if you build a strong monetization system around it, for example, you can level up RPG stats, then you reach, okay, we want the player to start to pay here, you reach a paywall to progress. So that could be a very complex system to build. So in terms of design only, I haven't mentioned even the technical side. So if you want to start off, I recommend you go with, free-to-play style. So also bear in mind the time that you make to develop your game. It shouldn't be too long. Try to make it short. Try to push something out fast, free-to-play. The reason why free-to-play, I'm more advocate of free-to-play games because you can reach a lot of audience very fast. And sometimes you don't know who likes your game. You may like, oh, I'm going to make this game for a 30 to 40-year-old dude with a lot of gun shooting and all that. Then you realize, oh my gosh, like 50, 60-year-old ladies at home, housewives that plays your game. So you need to change. Change your style or where you go with content towards your target market. Sometimes what you think who plays your game, maybe not the person that plays your game. So go free to play, go something light, throw it out there, gain more experience and move forward.
So my question is, what do you use to measure all these stats? Do you have some in-house tools, or do you use some like third-party tools? What do you use to measure like these revenue per active user and so on?
Okay, for bigger companies, they have a few that I have used, like Tableau. It's like a stat system. So it's very famous among data analysts right now around the world. If you look up LinkedIn or certain jobs, then
how do you spell it?
Tableau, Tableau.
Oh, okay.
Right. And Amplitude is the previous one that big companies also use. So amplitude.com, you can find it there. But for me and small games, so Apple itself, the App Store, they actually provide you with some basic tracking of all this. You can already see that. So it depends how you want to use those. So you don't have to build your own tools or subscribe to expensive tools like Tableau and Amplitude to start off. So you know a little bit. You have the basic stuff already. So, and Steam as well. Steam Spy, SteamGraph.net, you can look at all the stats of how the games on Steam are doing. So you can already find all these tools as well.
Yeah, another question.
One question, kind of follow-up question to the previous one. What you said, that if you find out that your shooter game is played by old ladies, isn't there a risk that if you change it, the old ladies actually like the shooting if they played your game? The bigger question is, have you ever run into a risk, into a situation when you kind of move the story from the game and it has negative impact on the perception of the game?
Okay, so when I mentioned that sometimes when the audience that you intend to may not be your audience that you are playing the game, so you can cater towards that kind of target, whatever you want to do, like a bundle that suits these kind of players, like what are their behaviors as well. So that's only a persona, like old ladies is only a persona. Let's say grandmothers play a game, you know. In fact, the silver snipers, a bunch of 60-year-old and above in Swedish, 60-year-old Swedish team, a pro gamer team, 60 and above. So they are pro gamers right now. So if I'm not mistaken, they play shooter games. So it depends of what you want. You don't have to like straight away. Depends on your game, right? If your game has more new contents, maybe what I can think of is like Mother's Day special. Do a lot more. Give these these players what they want, because you know they are your audience. If like a lot of players that play your game are football fans, World Cup, you know, Euro 2000, a Euro Cup for instance, do bundles or do stuff that cater for them. So those are your players. So you have to pivot and move towards your type of players audience to maximize how well you do your game.
Any more questions? Okay.
So you mentioned about that you worked on what was it called? Ghost Recon.
Yes.
And I was wondering, how do big companies spread out their workload, or do they even spread out their workload amongst all the different studios around the world, or do they just put it on one studio?
Excellent question. So sometimes I share this information with my fellow colleagues, so I don't think I'll get sued for this, but it should be a well-known thing. Like Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed is one of their, if not the number one, but it's one of their top IPs that make money. It's probably done by collaboration of 5 studios around the world, at least. Like Montreal is Ubisoft Montreal is the main studio. Ubisoft Singapore does a part of it and made around the world. Ubisoft Bucharest does the testing and so forth. So sometimes when you have a big game, so it's definitely spread out throughout multiple studios. So that's how they work, because they have different studios that specialize each other. EA is the same. So I have friends that work on Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefront. So they have like the test house somewhere else, maybe not only in Stockholm, but in LA DICE as well. So it depends on how big the game is and how big the company are. Like Witcher 3 is a very big game. It's only done by CD Projekt Red, as far as I know. So that one studio. So it depends.
Okay, last one.
Hey, maybe a bit controversial question, but Final Fantasy Brave Exvius was quite controversial with its monetization, as well. Final Fantasy is quite popular IP, but the mobile game seemed to be targeted to certain market, and the monetization was also kind of targeted certain market, as it had quite big pay-to-win mechanisms inside, and there were some Kotaku posts about people spending $12,000, and what from project development perspective, was the company ready for the fan backslash, and how did it look from the inside?
If you want to talk about how games, big games that handle like how the community reacts, right? So there will always be fire, right? Even Blizzard now, once they say Diablo Immortal, whoosh, and then Fallout, Bethesda, whoosh, you know, all these like buggy game, right? And then I don't know whether there's a meme on internet, whether you've seen EA just looks at them like, hey guys, first time, right? So it's always that's where the community team is there, is for, to calm down the players. It's always, as a game developer, you work on monetization, there's always a balance to keep players happy, but give them what they deserve as well. Yes, sometimes I will agree there's a controversy, but sometimes it's more like testing the market as well as game developers, but not going too far, not to upset your players, of course, but to understand more of the players, because monetization is an ongoing thing for every game. Every game has a different kind of audience. So some audience is like horrible. League of Legends, Dota 2 audience, like you go in, guy, fuck you, uninstall the game, where you from, that kind of thing. Very toxic, right? But there are some communities like Final Fantasy Brave exist, they remedy themselves. One guy is like, hey, what are you doing? You're a pay-to-win guy. Hey bro, don't worry man. Everything is going to be fine. Try again. So there's always this back and forth as well. So there's quite something a bit special for Final Fantasy where you have two different personas. Sometimes the community actually remedies itself. So that's what the community managers is for around the world. You can see a lot of jobs going on to pacify and to help players calm down and siding players and siding the developers at the same time. So it can be both sides. So it's always going to happen.
So thank you, Kenny. Applauses, please.
Thank you.
So the next speaker is Samu Lahtela from Finland, and he will talk about data-driven game evolution. And he has company with him to back him up. So let's give some applauses while he sets up.
Go ahead, set up. I'll move on here.
You need some? You need some?
No. I'm so thankful for my beer.
Can I just...
Nobody watch. Turn around. Close your eyes.
Alright. Hello, can everybody hear me? Yes, great. So my name is Samu Lahtela. I'm from Round Zero, which is the publishing label of Fingersoft. And well, before I start with our data-driven game evaluation, you need to know the history of Round Zero, which starts with Fingersoft. So, Davis, can you take the floor for a second?
Terve. My name is Davis. I'm almost Latvian and I'm half drunk in Fingersoft way. So let's start. What I need to push here?
This button.
Oh, this button. So as this is a Christmas time, I think nobody of us believe in Santa Claus or miracles. Then in Oulu, it's in Finland, it's in nowhere, it's in the middle of Finland, in nowhere. There's like 200,000 people living in nowhere. But in 2012 happened a miracle when one bit overweighted guy called Tony Fingeros made hill climb racing, mobile racing game. And somehow, after 3 months sitting in his own apartment and drinking and coding, he made this Christmas miracle happen. And now we are 50 guys in the Fingersoft office. We are having over 1 billion installs for Hill Climb Racing 1 and Hill Climb Racing 2. Yes, and we are published 12 games. Only 2 were successful. Hill Climb Racing 1, Hill Climb Racing 2. One other was made by us, it failed. 9 were published. Some of them were successful, some even get awards and we get money out of it. So next. And we are the 4th biggest company in Finland, but we are more sexy as Rovio, and we are having better office than Supercell, that's for sure. Also, our revenue is quite good. As you see, till 2016 it was just every year around 15 million. So last year we made it bit better. And the things that you should learn, guys, is who are like CEO or something, who run a company or want to run a company, share with your workers, because ownership of company or shares own not just some overweighted guys, but it's also for employees, partners, and it's not like just two guys are acting like bosses and just sitting on the money. We are all sitting almost on the money, almost. And here is a bit of history that this is like sitting in an apartment 2012, made Hill Climb Racing 1, which was mostly successful just because it was perfect timing, and yes, it was, you didn't need like mobile internet, you can play it offline, and a lot of guys around the world loves this on 2012. Also, we made to make wannabe Candy Crush I Hate Fish, which failed, and then we understood that we are not so clever. Probably this is just like one-hit wonder. And by that time, we were also like publishing some games which like went quite well. For example, Benji Bananas had a lot of downloads. Fast Like a Fox get like 3 Google Play Awards. Make More is still on a run, and it's going pretty well. And 2 years and 3 months ago, Hill Climb Racing 2 came out, and then we understood that we need special department for publishing, which gonna work more based on the data, not just the feelings that we can and we are having something big and that we are like cool guys. And that's why Samu gonna speak about real data and how we are doing things professional by now, not just sitting in an apartment.
All right.
Okay, so this all started when we wanted to essentially move away from our subjective view on games which we want to publish. So what Fingersoft did before was they had their own panel of experts who decided if this game is worth publishing or not, so third-party games. So we wanted to move away from that, and instead of asking employees, the few chosen, we wanted to ask our players, which is, by the way, 50 million monthly active users. So yeah, we decided to go with a more objective way, ask directly from the players, and well, technically the data we get from the players. So how we do this is we drive players from Hill Climb Racing 1 and 2 to the games we evaluate, and based on the data, we make the decision if it's publish worthy for us or not. So basically, if it's a fit for our players or not. Also, what we wanted to facilitate is the early validation of game ideas or game cores. So if you think you have a good game, but you're not sure if you want to push all your effort to it, you can use our process to see if the players like your, let's say, if you have a MVP. And if it's not good, you can fail fast and move on to a new title. And also, yeah, we're developing our own technology to automate this whole process, to make it easier for both developers and for ourselves as well. But let's talk some more details. So what is data-driven game analysis, or how do we do it? So the first step, obviously, is to gather the data. So whenever a developer wants us to publish their games, we ask them to implement some sort of an analytics tool. We prefer Game Analytics. It's a free service and quite easy to implement, and you only need the default settings, so you don't need to add your custom events, for example. Also, since I think 90% of our games that we test are made with Unity, it made sense to also allow Unity analytics. So same stuff, this is also free, and the default settings is enough for us. Then you need to make a few creatives, so 3 banners basically, because the next step is after you make the banners, we take the reins, and the next step is to make a cross-promotion campaign in Hill Climb Racing 1 and 2. So if you don't know what that means, we essentially show the creatives you made inside Hill Climb Racing to the real players, and using that we drive real players to your game. So it's a week-long ad campaign in low CPI countries. I haven't mentioned this before, but the service is totally free for you developers. And partly because we use low CPI countries, so the cost for us isn't too high. And then last step, obviously, is the analysis. After the week-long ad campaign is over, I will check the data from most likely Game Analytics. And just to note, we at this point, we don't steal your data. It is your project. We just want to take a look at it and then do our own analysis. And if the data is oh yes, of course, we also look at the ad performance metrics like click-through rates and store-based conversions. No? Yes. And if the data looks good, we move on to a little bit more of testing. So I just described the evaluation round. So this is to test if the players like it. But since we're a publisher, we also need to test if the players want to pay for your game. So we have a monetization round after. And if those 2 rounds look good, then we move on to soft launch, and only then do we start negotiating a publishing deal. But yeah, if you want to remember anything from this presentation, remember this slide. So this is what we offer to you, the developers. It's free installs, no strings attached. Like I mentioned, we don't want your money yet anyway. The app doesn't transfer to us, so we'll test under your Google Play console. There's no contract, so whenever you feel like this is bullshit, you want to move on, you're free to walk away. We designed it to be light, easy. Like I said, we only need the analytics invites and the creatives from you, and the rest is done by us. Secondly, we allow you to test your game with real players, as you might have tested with your mom, but I wager those results were pretty good. Our players are not, they're brutally honest. So if they don't like your game, they will tell you, or more specifically, the data will tell you. And also you get to test your marketing materials and store page. Lastly, what we want to facilitate, obviously we want to find games to publish. But let's be honest, not every game is, let's say, publish worthy. So what we want to allow you to do is fail fast and learn. So if your game does not meet the requirements, well, you can of course continue developing, but this is a good point to maybe leave it aside and start learn from that, of course, and then move on to the next project. Sorry. Also, in the future, we want to provide game feature insights, because we have tested a lot of games, and we have the game features listed. So we have data from games that are doing good, and what kind of features they have. And based on that data, we want to give you automated feedback, but we're not there yet, quite yet. Right, so this is some boring results from our last year. We had over 250 applications, and to 80% of these we offered a test round. So there is a slight screening process, because we cannot test games that have inappropriate material. For example, otaku games are not for us. Also, we cannot test games that are straight up copies. So if you rip off, let's say, Hill Climb Racing, we won't test your game. 150 games we actually ran the test with. If you are sharp, you can see 150 is not 80% of 250. This is because some developers decided that they don't want to go through with the process. And to us, this is totally fine. A little bit sad, but totally fine. Like I said, there's no strings attached. So at any point, if you don't feel like it, you can just walk away. No hard feelings. A total of 8 games reached soft launch, and 2 of those were published globally. And we acquired over 20 million installs to those 2 games. But I think the more juicy data is here. So this is the day 1 retention from 100 of our games. Before I continue, who here knows what day 1 retention actually means? Okay, those who don't, it's essentially the percentage of players that come back 1 day after they have installed. So day 7 retention means they're still playing 7 days after they're installed. Here you can see this line is our average. So our global average is around 20% for the games we tested. And this, if you look at the genres, it's mostly uniform, which tells me that day 1 retention for good reason is quite a universal metric to see if the game is good or not. Our target is 30%. This is not the industry standard 40 because we use backfill traffic in low CPI countries. So we found out that this translates, if you get to 30%, this translates to 40 in tier 1 and 2 countries. And you can probably see, can you guess which 3 games continued with our process? I'm sure you can, so yeah, 1/30. A little bit more data. So this is the session data, total playtime. Here you can see the average is a bit less uniform. Our global average is around 500 seconds. We also found out that if your game has 9 minutes or more total playtime, daily playtime, that has a positive effect on your day 1 retention. And also this varies, the average is varying across different genres. For example, puzzle games and simulation have higher averages because it makes sense to me anyway. If you want to play a puzzle game, you're going to sit down and properly play the game, compared to, let's say, an action game that is maybe snackable. But yes, that's no. Yes, that's about it. Thank you for listening. If you have a free-to-play mobile game, you can submit it at our webpage. So it's over there. Keep that in mind. Do you have any questions at this stage?
In your opinion, what is the point?
I just repeat it.
Where's the microphone?
Handy. Let's go.
So it's question time.
In your opinion, what is a good duration of game making? Is it 3 months, maybe more or maybe less? In your opinion?
In my opinion, the cop-out answer is make a good game and then test it. I personally don't want to put a time frame. For example, for us it's irrelevant how long you develop it, as long as it's good. But yeah, develop it until you're happy with it, would be my answer.
Okay, thank you.
More questions? Anyone? Question?
Alright, I know you told us that you collect like metrics and that's hard data. Do you also collect like player opinions?
Do you mean from individual players?
Yes, yes. Like, is there a possibility for them to leave feedback? Like, I would like this game if only there wasn't what for this one single feature.
Well, no. That would be cool, but that's contradictory to our goal, which is data-driven. So we don't want to rely on one single line of feedback. So that's why we let the data, so the metrics day 1 retention speak.
And why I'm asking that is that, well, in other software products, sometimes the usual that the products are good, but they just have like a single drawback. And if you don't figure it out, the product might actually be pretty good. We've learned for that one single thing. And if you call, it's not because of one feedback, but if you get thousands of people saying the same thing and you don't collect it, you might miss it.
Yes, you're right. I agree. It's important to collect the feedback as well, but basically our process is not built for that. So we try to keep it fast, simple, and easy. And if you wanted to collect like feedback from all of those installs, that would, yeah, multiply our workload by a lot. But you're right. It is important feedback as well. We just don't do it.
Any else? want to speak? Okay.
Is these data somewhere available, or some part of this data is online or somewhere?
Do you mean the data that I just showed you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Our data is not yet. When I mentioned we're building our tech, we're planning on sharing what we can there. But there's actually a good study by Game Analytics. I think it's the yearly study. I forget the name, where they have their own they show a lot of data. So if you go to Game Analytics and look up their, I think yearly reports, you should see a very interesting study.
Is it App Annie or Sensor Tower?
Sorry?
App Annie and Sensor Tower. Those are the free stuff you can see.
No, it's I think made by Game Analytics, their own research. Yes. So gameanalytics.com.
More questions? No, 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 no. Okay, thank you. Applause, please. So, let's take a 10 minutes break, as always, to clean it out, to stretch our legs. So, be right back. So gather up, gather up for the last speaker.
Last but not the least.
Chop, chop.
Kāpēc viņš ir tā?
Visu redzu.
Slikti. Vai nu man nav tā, kā man vajag? Man vajag duplikēt vai ir. Jā, nē.
Es tik nemāku
Tagad ātri viss priekšā. Keep talking.
Okay, let's start with applauses for Katya. She will talk about the benefits of
Being actively involved in the community. Being actively involved in the community. Learn your shit, man.
person being actively involved in game dev community, game development community, of course. Of course.
Nē. See you all tomorrow.
Kāpēc savu gatā pazīt?
Viņai nav iespējas.
Es izrādu.
Es neko neredzēju.
Nu, es arī nē.
How you guys and gals doing today? Tonight?
Doing great.
That's good.
How are you?
I'm awesome. Friends gave me dildo today for my birthday.
What's happening?
Not much.
Things are happening. No, they're not happening the way I want them to.
Tu kur taisīji?
Focus lights. Kāpēc viņš neiet?
Jā, sure.
No. Es gribu, lai ir divām skrīniem.
Tur erors.
Nē, tas nav tas.
What you hacking? Extend.
Is it?
I did that.
Are you trying to turn it off and on again?
No need for that, though. I'm an IT guy, though. So, we up?
Almost. Wait.
Pamēģini out of shit. F11.
Is the system's mapping for?
Nah. Not today. I think we're kind of good. It should be fine, I think.
Okay, applause please, another time. Louder. Okay, this is for you. Let's go.
Do we really need that?
Yes.
I think I have pretty loud voice, but hey. Hi everyone. I'm really happy to see all of you tonight here. And this is the meetup number 67 once more, if someone didn't know or forgot about it. It's kind of a Christmas meeting because it's the last one this year. And we tried to make it a bit more special than it's usual. So most of you got your welcome drinks. We have some welcome snacks as well, but they're going to be on a little bit later. Back to my talk. Many of you know that it's on the topic of the perks of being actively involved in the community. Some of you don't really know what's the point of that. Like, I'm in the association. That should be enough, right? No, it's actually not. We all know that anything we do in this association is actually we do it for free. Like, none of us are getting any actual physical money out of it, but we get a lot more in return. It's very nice tonight to see actually some people here that I met through mobile games. And how? Because I was organizing events for free, just because of that. I volunteered, I organized events for games like Ingress, for games like Pokemon Go. Yes, Pokemon Go, I actually played that. And there are people here that still play that. It's pretty amazing that mobile games nowadays can actually bring people together and gain a lot of new stuff, friends, etc. So yeah, that's like pretty generic information. About a little bit about me and why do we even talk about this is that I've been doing voluntary work for almost 10 years now. I actually got involved in it pretty early for like our normal understanding. It's I started with Riga's Pupils Council. My friends and family didn't understand why I was doing it. Like I spent most of my free time organizing, planning, calling, meeting with people for free. Like there was no physical, income out of it, and they were like, "Why were you doing that?" But I kept doing that, and I'm still doing that here in this association. Because of that, I got many opportunities to participate in tons of events. And now I'm in a situation that I actually get like job offers. Just because I've been in places, I've met people, because I was doing stuff for free. Now I can get very big outcome out of that. And I was doing a lot of stuff, from packing boxes, cleaning spaces, till actually communicating and arranging people very famous in different areas like arts and music and IT development and game development. There was even one European project. I was 17 at the time. It was a training course. And I had gotten a random invite to it, like, "Do you want to participate?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And it was in Russia, in a city, Toliati. Probably none of you even know the name of the city. It's actually the home country of a very famous car, Lada. And by the way, if you ever go so deep to Russia, all your stereotypes about Russians come true there. Every single one. Well, the only thing I didn't saw there is the bears drinking vodka, but that's literally the only thing. Everything else, you can walk around the city in the midnight and there are Russians sitting on the benches eating sunflower seeds, drinking beer from huge ass bottles. Yeah, sometimes that may happen in Riga as well, but not that much as it happened there. At the time, I remind you, I was 17. I joined this project. It was a European project. It was funded by European Union, and the average age of the participants was 27. And I was like one of them, and it was completely fine, and no one even knew I was underage at the time. Oh, of course, organizers knew. That's a bit different story. And there were participants from so many different countries, like France, Argentina, Azerbaijan, France. Like, I've got friends in all of those countries now, just because once in my life I took this opportunity and did something more than I usually do. A bit more about association and why you should be active in it. Not all of you are members, but those who are not, please apply. There is a form on our website, GameDev.lv. One of the biggest things that you all see, and which is where we are right now, are meetups. And we have organized this year around 13 meetups. I've been actively involved in around 8 or 9 of them. And they were really awesome because we got and arranged around 10 foreign speakers to come here and to talk, and we actually got to know them. And you can, one of the things about organizing meetups, by the way, if you want to help us with that, please talk to me or anyone else from the board. We always need help. But one of the best things is when you organize something like that, You can help manage the location, and when you do that, you can actually get some pretty sweet deals on stuff there. That's like some inside info. Except the meetups, there was this big thing, conference this year. It was first time we made it this big. And when in the inside information it was announced that they need help, I was scared. Even with all my huge volunteering experience, I was scared because I was like, I don't know anyone big in game dev field. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff around organizing meetups, conferences, and stuff like that, not concerning game dev. But I still joined. I was pretty shy and pretty quiet at the first time, but then we had a little bit of struggle with the speakers, and what I did, there was some kind of a click in my head. It's like, oh shit, we gotta do something. And I went online, pretty basic and pretty easy, and I just searched the biggest conferences and biggest events concerning game dev all around Europe and the world. I saw the biggest speakers there. I found them on Twitter, I found them on Facebook, and I just texted them straight away. In the end, we had huge bunch of really amazing people from this field. And as much as I know, the visitors of the conference were pretty happy with it as well. And one of the biggest perks of it, I actually got to organize the pre-party event for the speakers and the organizers. I had the chance to get to know a bit closer every single one of them. And later on, through some discussions and talks and chit-chats, there was a moment when we started to talk about jobs. 2 months later, I got an actual job offer in Polish PR agency that works exactly with games and game publishing, which I never thought I would get. It was a pretty amazing experience. We worked actually for 3 months together. Stuff and things happened. We're not working anymore, but I'm really grateful for that experience. And who can I say thank you for that? Our association. Another thing that we can do in this association is representing. These are actually some screenshots from Instagram stories. This September, yes, we got an opportunity to represent the view of Latvian game dev community and just represent us in BGI project in Stockholm. And not only in Stockholm, because we went also to one of the biggest incubators that also incubated some of the games. And yeah, during that project, not mentioning some consulting tasks, we got this trip. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, this is actually the name of the restaurant, Jebenist. We had pretty laughs about it because locals didn't understand why we were laughing, but those who knew Latvian and a bit of Russian had some fun about it. But yeah, one of other my fellow members of the board, Ivers, also went there. We had really great time. We got some really awesome contacts, and we're still in touch with some partners that went there, mostly Latvian partners. And with help of them, we actually got a speaker to one of our previous meetups. So, you know, communication is a key. Just keep talking. Long story short about why I was telling all these tiny stories till now. Since I became active in this community, I got to know tons of awesome and respectable people from game dev community, and not only of that, all around the world. I got one job offer, one actual job that I have right now because of the game dev they approached me, and I'm now working in the awesome company that relates to video games and mobile games. One foreign project participation and tons of joy. So, you know, don't be shy, and if an opportunity arises, just do it. Don't be shy. That's it.
That was all?
Can we keep this on for a minute? is longer.
Yeah, sure. Maybe some questions.
Who's that?
What?
Who's that?
Who's that? You
I
don't
don't
know
know.
that?
I don't know. But he has cool beard though.
It's just a pretty guy with a pretty beard.
Do we have a question?
Okay.
I have a question. Can I see hands who's not in the association of GameDev LV?
Uh-oh.
Who's not? Who's not?
You will all get punished.
Yeah.
Damn it.
You can join.
The main
It's
question
free of
is
charge.
why?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
why, dog?
I didn't know it existed.
Oh, damn! Yeah.
Well, now you know.
You can join and you can. It's basically free, but you have to pay 20 euros per year.
Okay. About
Joining, applicant.
if you want to join the GameDev Association, you have to go to gamedev.lv. You said that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But once more.
You do the thingy with the Word, Microsoft Word, send to the GameDev info at gamedev.lv. And we have this yearly fee with 10 euros to support our cause, let's say that. But the first time is 20 euros for because it's by the year plus the joining fee, let's say that. Any more questions? Wait. No?
You're okay.
Okay. So, that's all for the speakers, but sit down. I see you.
It's really,
It's
really
Elvis
sunny
with
here, so I'm in the
info.
hat.
Yeah, he's representing something as always, like coming with the merch and not giving us. So yeah, let's give applauses for Elvis with information announcement and the game.
How do you know there will be the game? Finland.
Hello? Yeah, question.
Can I guess the first one?
Yeah.
Hill climb racing 2.
And you are totally wrong. Let's start. So what happened in the last month? In the association that you didn't know about, we accepted the 80th member. 80, yes, it's 80. We are already 80 there. And it's Renārs Davids Bitinieks. Are you here? Not here? Okay, applause to the new member.
Louder, please.
Thank you. So yesterday we had a board election, and this is the new board. This is the new board. So we have 3 old members, me, Maris, and Vladimirs, and we have 4 new ones. Ivars Bergs was here, but he's not here anymore. So Laura, she still has the torch if you were in the last meetup. Eriks. And Yekaterina.
Katya.
Katya, yes. She was the previous speaker. And yeah, what's there? What's in the corner? Yeah, so let's start. The first one will be really easy one. So the winner will get prize from something from our how would I say it, sponsors of the prizes. Yeah, the hat is from them, Fingersoft. So and 1 beer. So this and a beer. So the first one will be 2 pictures, 3 pictures. Combine them, get the name of the game and shout it out. So 3, 2, 1.
Get off Truck Simulator.
Yes, exactly. Why it's here? Because it has DLC now, Beyond the Baltic Sea, and it includes the Baltic states. So, yep, Europe Truck Simulator. The next one we will start. I will try something new. So this will be these will be two totally unknown games. You probably you don't know them. So you just combine what's in the pictures and shout it out, and if it's the correct one, you will get the beer and the prize. So 3, 2, 1.
Is it something with you?
Maybe.
You're not helping.
Resident Evil 8?
Nope. It's in the correct order.
Last known game though.
So what's this building? So what's this guy? What is he doing? So combine everything.
Evil crypto management.
No.
Evil bank management.
The guy is
The Wolf from Wall Street.
not management, but what?
Evil bank manager.
Yes, evil bank manager.
Damn!
Yep. You can download it on Steam. It looked pretty cool game. So you get another beer and prizes from Fingersoft. So the last one. So it's evil bank and manager. The last one will be a bit easier. So 3, 2, 1.
Fortnite?
Well, yes, that's Fortnite, but something.
Fortnite mayor.
Nope. No, it's not Fortnite in the game. That's just something like that.
CSGO.
So this guy who
piece of shit.
Let's cut that out. So who is he like in Russia? Not the mayor, of course he's a mayor, but he's also
Oligarch?
like there were games where you build something. So combine that. What? Combine.
Battle Royale Tycoon?
Yes, Battle Royale Tycoon.
Seriously?
Yes. So you said Battle Tycoon. It's Battle Royale Tycoon. Yeah. So this game looked really fun, and I will definitely try it. So yeah. So all 3 prizes. And that's all, folks. See you in the next meetup. Thank you.
See you next year. Come after your prizes, please. So, the GameDev Meetup is over. See you until next year. And if anyone wants to show something or say something, it's open mic time. Anyone? No? Meh. Meh.